else. So this morning we're going to have a little more interactive session. So I want you all to put your thinking caps on. We had 3 different programs yesterday afternoon, and not everybody got to participate in all 3. So we're going to bring our 3 folks that hosted and facilitated the different groups up, have a little conversation, but we want to hear from you. What did you get out of the programs yesterday, and what are you taking home with you? So I'm going to give you a moment or 2 to think about that while we bring our esteemed panel up with Dr. Daveluy and Jenni Burrows and Shelia Johnson. If y'all could come up to the stage, I'm going to wander the room. So we moved the stairs, just so you know. They're on the other side. Good morning, Shelia. You're looking lovely today. Yeah. Well, it's kind of our blue color, but for the CLF, but that's okay. All right. Cool. So what I thought I would start with for each of you, or I'm just going to start on that side because Jenni's on that side of the room, but what was your experience of the room yesterday? And maybe explain a little bit about what your breakout session was. I mean, I know we heard a little bit about your art yesterday morning as well. So, kind of what did you facilitate? And what did you see?
I felt yesterday was a very special day, and I felt that, I've talked about it with the team as well, how supportive you all are, and how brave as well. Many of you have come for the first time, and I think that's a very big thing, to come to something for the first time, and we don't know what to expect. And I very much appreciated your feedback and your support to me in many different ways yesterday. I think also your ability and willingness to try different things as well. And running the workshops yesterday, we're just playing, we're just trying out different ways, and just different ways in which maybe we can help ourselves relax, take ourselves away from situations, and whether that's our illness or other things that are related to that. So that's what I took away.
Thank you. Dr. Daveluy, now we'll talk a little bit about Sheila's because I was in Sheila's session, but I gotta say, I don't know for anybody that wasn't in Dr. Daveluy's session, we could hear you. So it sounds like you were having a great time. So let's talk a little bit about laugh yoga.
Very good. Yay! Very good. Yay!
All righty.
Right, we definitely had a good time. So if you guys weren't in the session, we did laughter yoga, which isn't stretching yoga. It's basically just letting yourself re-engage with your childhood and have fun and laugh. And there's all these health benefits to laughter. And you get those health benefits whether it's real laughter or fake laughter. So you kind of start fake laughing, but it turns into real laughter because you're so silly and letting loose. And it was really amazing. Sort of like Jenni said, it was great to see people sort of come together as a group, and I felt like we sort of bonded, as you could see this morning, and formed a little tribe of laughers. And it was really neat, too, to see there's a little bit when it comes to laughter yoga of letting go of those inhibitions and sort of letting yourself not be an adult for a while. And I love seeing people sort of go through that process and realize it, because it's a useful tool in your life when you can sort of take away the assumptions and the presumptions that are put on you as this is how you should act and this is how you should behave, and just have some fun and laugh and smile. And it's a great escape. Sometimes there's stress going on in life and there's not much control you have over your illness, your response to treatment, life in general, but you can decide, I'm just going to laugh for a little bit. I'm going to give myself a little break and turn off adult mode for a bit, laugh for a while, and then you'll feel better. And there's some good science behind it. So it's really good to laugh.
Wonderful. Yay. So I'll do that exercise. What is it again?
Very good. Yay! Very good. Yay!
There we go. See, we can all take that home with us. Just watch out for all the people looking at you in the airport, right? Sheila, I have to say I so loved your session, art and food, and a little meditation. And those was what did you do? The salami rows? Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to go home and try that. It was magnificent. So why don't you share a little bit with everyone who wasn't participating in your charcuterie creation?
Yes, absolutely. For me, and kind of like, you all, is that when you have a diagnosis like this one that is going to be with us for the rest of our lives, you have to really wrap your mind around that, because our perception of it impacts our outcome. And so for me, my art is food. And so one of the ways I create that food art is through charcuterie. And so, like I shared yesterday, if I get a test result or there's something pressing me, I am 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get in the kitchen. And I'm going to create something fabulous, something beautiful. And it really just kind of takes my mind away from whatever that issue is that would be pressing me, because I also try to allow myself 17 seconds to shift the energy, to shift the paradigm. And so whatever that is, literally, during that 17 seconds, I do a rampage of gratitude. And so when you just start saying out loud, kind of like laughing, it changes your whole everything, and I just say, you know what, I'm so grateful for these really nice mattresses that I can afford. I'm grateful for the roof over my head, for my family, my grandkids, and then I'm cooking and creating with my hands, and I'm not a trained chef, I'm not formally trained. And so I look at that as a gift that the Creator gave me. And so I'm going to use those gifts. I'm going to use these hands to help create, but it's also a meditative state for me as well. I focus on my gratitude, those things that I'm grateful for, and then just create. And by the time I'm done, I'm like in a much, much better space emotionally. And again, I have just found that means it makes such a big difference, and food makes everybody happy. Food is one of the things that brings us all together. We can find common ground on good food. And so that is kind of what we talked about yesterday.
It's great. And then you get to eat it.
Yes.
And she came up with some great cheeses. I can't wait. And since I live here and I know where you got them, I can go back and get them.
Yes,
yes. It'll be so good. All right, so now we're going to turn it over to you. Who would like to share their experience from yesterday? Do I have a brave person? Oh, yay, David. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mic run. Let me come back over here.
Hi. First, let me say it was a very hard decision because all 3 of the sessions sounded interesting. It would have been nice to attend all of them. But Steve, I attended yours. And you are a fabulous leader, group leader. It was so much fun watching everybody else kind of lower their inhibitions and look around at the group and see people starting to smile and starting to laugh. And it's contagious. It really is. So when I wake up in the middle of the night now, and as I was telling you yesterday, thinking about all the things I'm thinking about and I can't stop thinking about, I'm going to start smiling and start laughing. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. That's what I love is when you think about those ways to bring these things home. Like when you're cooking, you can engage in that if you need to, or if you have an artistic outlet that you can go to, or if you just need to laugh, you can. It's great to process those things and bring the skills home.
Great. Great. Who else would like to share what your session was like yesterday and what you learned or what you're taking home? Anyone? Oh, we have a quiet group. Maybe we need to do some more laugh yoga. Jenni?
Yeah, it's just something I was thinking about is when I was talking to Autumn before the conference and about living your best life. And it really made me think about, living our best life. And as I've, you know, I have had the disease for 10 years and I've learnt to work through things and, you know, still have good and bad days. But for me, and I don't know if anybody else can relate to this as well, is that if I'm having terrible fatigue, that starts everything off on a very difficult footing. And I used to be really hard on myself about it. And then I realised it's about being kind to ourselves. Having our best life is about being kind to ourselves. And it's about well done for getting out of bed. You know, well done for making a coffee. Because even though I'm British, I drink coffee, not tea. And it's I found accepting the fatigue was a big moment for me, and not seeing it as a failure. And it meant a big lifestyle change. And I really, really so happy what you said about gratitude, because for me, you know, I'm very lucky. My husband is 110% supportive. And I've got a great group of about 5 friends from different parts of my life. But they get it. And they're non-judgmental. They just get it. And they just pick me up when I need it. And they encourage me with my art. And, you know, I'm not able to come here just on myself. But I'm able to come here because I have support from them. And all of them, they're all in the UK. My 5 friends are still in the UK. But all of them text me about, go for Philly, just go for it, just enjoy it, just love it. And the 2 weeks prior to here, I've had a lot of problems with my eyes and swelling, and I've had a lymphoma here. And a new friend of mine said, do you think you should still go? And I'm just like, it's the only place to go. Everybody understands. And literally I got here and I just felt my shoulders go, oh. And I said to my husband, actually on the Friday morning, I don't know if I can do it. And he said, you can do this, you've got it, you need to go. And I just feel so grateful to you guys, just for listening, just for sharing your stories, and for also saying, yeah, I get fatigue. I have a bad day. I'm sitting in a crowd, and I don't know about you, but when I'm in a crowd and my skin's very sensitive, I don't want anybody to touch or get near or brush by me. And, you know, when somebody else told me they have that, it's empowering. You just feel part of a family. And so I just want to say living our best lives is being kind to ourselves first. And then we can do anything.
Brilliant. 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 Who else might like to share? I was going to, oh, yay. See, and this is how I'm going to get my steps in today.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I think this is my 4th conference I'm attending. Yes. The first time was in Boston. Yeah, yes. But I can say this is the best conference I've attended. Yes. Especially meeting. There are 2 James that I met yesterday over there, and I met Chris just coming in. And of course, yes. And of course, Shelia was also she was very just inspirational. I was born in Sierra Leone, in West Africa. I came here, I had the disease back home, and I didn't know. So I came here, I'm a physician, I'm a psychiatrist. So I came here, somehow my skin got worse. So I went to a dermatologist, and I was diagnosed with continuous lymphoma, and I still did not treat it very seriously. So I went to Texas and did my residency. I came back to Maryland. Then it was getting worse. That's the time I went to see my dermatologist. I did a biopsy, and after the biopsy, of course, just the diagnosis was a shock, you know. And so I keep on researching, and that's how I found the organization, which has been tremendously helpful. Yeah, and I'm still at stage 1B. All these years. And so I see Dr. De Simoni at Innova Fairfax in Virginia. She's also part of this, yeah. So this organization have done an amazing job. And I do follow all the emails, and I initially registered as for virtual, yeah, because still having a cold. But some I said have to come, and I'm very happy to be here. And thank you for the good work. Yes. Thank you.
It's so nice to have you. It's really nice to have everybody. It's such a special thing. I'll come here.
Hi, I'm James. I'm a first-time attendee here. I've joined online before, but for business, I found myself heading to New York, and I thought, I can come a couple of days early and join here. I'd like to thank the panel for putting on those sessions. I did really enjoy it. I was not making charcuterie, I was eating charcuterie with it, which is much better actually. But the thing I'd just like to say that kind of dawned on me yesterday is I was diagnosed with MF in 2018, and yesterday was the first time I'd met someone in the flesh with the same condition.
Yeah.
So I talked to people online, and I'd say, but it's the first time I actually sat next to someone and talked, and it was lovely. I phoned my wife last night, and she said, "Your voice sounds just really like." I said, "I'm really happy." I said, I'd never met anyone before, and that's a great experience, and I really appreciated that. So thank you to everybody for putting this on, and it's been really important for me. Thanks.
Thanks for making us a stopover on your trip.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I just wanted to add to what Sheila said, that for me, what dictates the day is if you start itching. So first you grab your husband's hairbrush to scratch, and then you get onto kitchen utensils and take the spatula down your back, and then you try and hide it, and then finally he says, "Do we need to go put cream on?" But the itching sometimes just kind of sets the tone for the day, and you kind of got it out of the cycle, but we're working on that. Ice, everything cold. I think I have every form and shape and size of ice pack in the universe, which I'm sure you all do too. So thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for being here. Who else wants to share? Okay, cool.
Hello, I came from California. This is my first time being here, and it means a lot for me to meet everybody who has the same condition. And I really like the art workshop because I didn't think that you could take this suffering and make it into an expression that helps other people feel better about themselves. So the fact that your theme was, about your skin, and you made it really beautiful. So it made me think, wow, this is something that could be turned into a good thing, not, a bad thing. So thank you for doing that, opening up my eyes to that possibility. And then I really love the laughing yoga because I think in my culture, I'm Chinese American, I was always told, no, you have to be quiet, you have to be very proper, especially because I'm a woman. And just to let it all out was such a sense of freedom. And I have found, I'm newly diagnosed. I've only had, I just found out in late February that I had MF. The way I thought it was a lot more serious. I thought it was transformed MF and that I had less than a year left in my life. So then I started to cope by thinking, let's see if, I started to have a sense of humor and almost like this gentle approach to life. Let's see where this takes me, and that's kind of like what Steve is saying to us, that, we can be kind to ourselves and have a sense of curiosity, and that really has helped me through these bad times. And luckily, it turned out that I don't have transformed MF, but it still has given me a sense of mindfulness and gratitude, that every day is so precious. And it also has made me more aware that, I can make connections with people that I probably would never have met in my life. I'm just so amazed that we have a diverse group of people, different places, different races, different genders, and yet we all have a common experience where we help each other. So I'm grateful for that. And I think Dr. Lee really helped yesterday with his skin-directed therapy session, because he approached it with a sense of humor and clarity, and he told us to grease up 3 times a day. Yeah. So everybody I talked to who heard that, they were like, oh my gosh, that's a lot, because it's hard just to do it once, but you have to do it 3 times a day. But it makes a lot of sense, and I usually use essential oils, jojoba oil, and coconut oil, and I warm it up, and it's almost like, and I do acupressure, so it's kind of like a way to be kind to myself. And I think that having MF has made me stop and concentrate on myself for a change, because I'm always the one that has to be like the mom and the daughter and the sister. But right now, my excuse is, well, I have cancer, and then I realized that I have to be kind to myself before I help other people. So, sorry, I talked a lot.
That's beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you.
And I love it goes so well with the theme of living your best life, because you kind of touched on a couple points. Is you can figure out what works best for you. You can lean into the diagnosis and create art and focus on it a little bit and do something with it, or you can escape with laughter or with cooking. And you might need different things at different times. Sometimes you might really feel like you want to focus on your experience with MF and make something beautiful out of it. And other times you're like, no, I need to get away from it today. I just need to not think about it. And I'm also glad you brought up acupressure, because with itch, there's an acupressure point that's kind of right at the crux of your elbow here. If you bend and see the little crease, and if you rub that spot, they did a study, it was in eczema patients, but they showed that it could help to reduce itch. So sometimes if you're feeling itchy, maybe just kind of rub that little elbow point, and hopefully it'll help a little. And there's no side effects unless you push too hard.
Brilliant. I haven't heard that one before. That's good. I think we'll all have to give that one a try.
I think something that I wanted to share with you as well is about having a team that's right for us. And I talked about Professor Whitaker, and he, on his team, I have a cancer nurse mine was Kath Morgan's, but she's now left. I had a clinical psychologist called Danuta Olaska, and actually she has been very supportive and in my work as well, and at the time of promoting my art. And I've talked about this a lot with Susan, and also at different events, because I feel very strongly about how influential and how important Danuta was. And in the early days, I felt a bit of a weakness that I had to go and talk to somebody about how I was feeling, how I was going to cope through with the disease. And actually, one of my colleagues at school said to me, it's fine, the management knowing about your cancer, but don't tell them that you need to see a psychologist, because they see it as a weakness. And I think in some ways that's been part of a cultural thing, and I do really feel it's changing. But I then chatted with another patient, and I had asked them, how many times they had to come for treatment or whatever. And I noticed that when he talked about Danuta, that was part of his plan. And her role was as important as Professor Whitaker and also Kath. And I was able, so Professor Whitaker was able to just do his job and his specialism. Kath did hers on more of a day-to-day basis, and Danuta was there when I needed her. And I probably saw her for about 6 years, but maybe I wouldn't see her for 3 months, and then I'd need to, have a chat with her. And the things that she has said to me, I still use in my everyday life, and the coping mechanisms she's given me, and especially actually about being kind to yourself, and sometimes just taking a pause and just thinking about things. And also the way I was reacting to the disease was the way in which I'd reacted to other traumas in life earlier. And we changed that. But one of the most important things she ever said was when I had got my diagnosis and I was having to change lots of things and also like my work hours and things like that, she said, you're a ship, you're a tanker. And when tankers or when ships turn in the ocean, they don't just do a quick turn. They have to go slowly around. And she did a little drawing, and that's what I always loved. She always did a little drawing. And I stuck it in my sketchbook, and I've still got it. And it's just such a powerful image, and I often think about that. I mean, even relocating and coming to New York, there was lots of stuff going on, and also that impacted my health and insurance and all those kind of things, which is all new to me from the UK. But sometimes I would have a day in the same way of thinking, right, I just need a pause here, and we're changing course. We're turning around. We're going to do it. And we've got all the tugboats, we've got the pilots, we've got everybody on our side, but it takes time. And that's my thing. So.
I have one thing, a couple of things you all said is living your best life. And I saw, and I still see my therapist. I don't see her as often as I used to. But again, when you get this diagnosis, you're like, okay, am I going to die today? Am I going to die tomorrow? Next week? That was heavy on my mind. And I remember she asked me a question. And she says, well, Sheila, how old do you want to be before you transition? And I was like, well, I want to live to be a 90-year-old spunky you-know-what. And it was her saying to me, well, what makes you think it's going to be any different than that? And it made me stop and really think that I had given the diagnosis so much power that I really believed that it was going to prevent me from living to be a 90-year-old spunky you-know-what. And she says, well, then that's what you want. That's what it's going to be. And I was like, you're right. This is not going to be it. This is not going to be it. And so and I think in our society, again, we're changing that, adding, that therapy into it, but it's such a vital role. My therapist is just as important as my oncologist.
Yeah, same.
And it just, without her, I would have been a mess, and the stress of it, and I would not have had the courage to live my best life. And after my diagnosis, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do, focus on me instead of everybody else. And for years, I knew I wanted to do something with my love for cooking, my love for people, and bringing people together. I just didn't know what that looked like. And so I thought, well, I'm going to do a cooking show. I'm going to turn my phone on, get a tripod, and videotape myself cooking. But then I thought, okay, who wants to see me cooking? Nobody knows me. What does that mean? But I had the courage to do it. And it has turned into something I would have never imagined. And it's still evolving. And had it not been for this diagnosis, would I have done that? I don't know. Would I have had the courage to do that? And I just share that to say that in living our best lives, that looks different for each and every one of us. But whatever it is, go out there and do it, and enjoy. I have a thing that if something doesn't bring me joy, I don't engage in it. Whether that's a conversation, whether that's people, whatever, work. I changed my career after my diagnosis because it became very important that my career was, since I had to work, because in this country you got to work for healthcare insurance. They kind of go hand in hand. But my work needed to mean something. I needed to know that the work that I did every day had an impact on people's lives and not just making a profit for big corporations. And so it's just like, we don't know, what tomorrow brings, but we do know that we have today. And I say live it to the max and don't apologize for it and enjoy every single second of it. That's just kind of my, what I live by. And I didn't before the diagnosis, but I sure do now.
Brilliant, brilliant. Great words of wisdom. Absolutely. Who else wants to share? How about one of our care partners who's accompanying a patient? Anybody want to have something to say from your vantage point? I'm just coming over there. My Philly sister here. Oh. Not to put you on the spot.
Thank you. I just want to say the culmination of yesterday of all the presentations and the workshop, breakout sessions, and the context of where we are in Philly. That Philly Thing song
Yes.
was like the best.
Yeah.
Which just, and the context of where you are at any time in your lives and being a partner to Michelle in the context of her life and being resilient with her CTCL and meeting other people. The unifying force is the CL Foundation, and it's really wonderful to meet everybody. But just dancing along with the energy in the room from that song was just uplifting. And so the context of wherever you are, feeling it and working with it, and that's what you've all shared, today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. I was going to ask our youngster, because I know she was your helper yesterday.
Oh, she was fabulous.
Yes.
Ava.
Did you have fun yesterday helping with the art?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Did you make some good art? But your mom might want to say something.
I just want to thank everybody for making her feel comfortable yesterday. She had an amazing time with Jenni. She took a liking to her first time she saw her, and she wouldn't leave her alone. I'm so sorry, Jenni.
Actually, I'm taking her home with me.
Yeah. She was diagnosed when she was 2 years ago when she was 6 years old. Now she's 8 now, and she had been having problems with her skin since she was like 6 months old. She has MF, and now we found stuff that she likes. Like she likes sport, but she doesn't like to be itchy or sweaty. So she does ice hockey, and now she's so active. She does taekwondo too. Yeah.
Oh, she's going shy. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I know it's tough when you're a parent, and we don't generally have a lot of children, but we're starting to see more and more, so hopefully we'll have more to say.
Having a chat with Ava in the morning at breakfast, we just both very much related to, I was having treatment before going to school, and so was Ava, and it was just, that connection. And that understanding, it's just like you can just sit and take a deep breath and you don't even have to really say anything. But I would like to say a big thank you to all you carers, though. What you do is just amazing for us, and I know that, that's made my life so much more precious and more powerful that I've had the support. And I think that's my biggest gratitude to all you guys that look after us. So thank you.
It's a team sport, right? It takes a village.
And we were talking yesterday at lunch too that if you, as patient or caregiver, care support team, if you have kind of feelings about it, just talk about it. Because sometimes as the person with the disease, you start to feel guilty that you're putting a burden on your loved one. Meanwhile, if you would talk to them, the loved one is like, oh no, this is such a great opportunity for me to speak my love language and show you that I care, and I'm so grateful that I get to support you through this. And so just make sure you have that open communication, because that's our biggest flaw as humans, is we make assumptions about what other people are feeling and thinking, and we don't just ask them and talk to them about it. And then you start thinking like, oh, I'm a burden, I'm ruining their life. And meanwhile, they're thinking like, wow, this is such a great thing that has brought us together, and there's this opportunity for us to have this new connection through it. So just remember to communicate.
Good point, right? All the way around. Don't keep it inside, right? Wherever that might be, where you need to be able to have those conversations. Really, really important. Who else wants to share? Oh, yay, okay. Give me a sec.
So you'll have to bear with me. I have a long story that takes a lead in. About, 78 minus 30, 40 years ago, I was a distance runner at the time. I was pretty decent. And I was out on a 20-mile run, and I suddenly got dizzy. I shook my head, wondered what that was, and kept going, finished the run. And then it happened a few times in races. Eventually, we figured out that it was a cardiac arrhythmia, and it was due to an enlarged right ventricle, eventually. The long history to figure that out. One doctor told me, all I can promise you about this is it will change. And it did, because my right ventricle continued to get larger. Eventually, they told me I couldn't run races anymore, which is a real bad thing, because it was like the week before I turned 40, and I was going to cream all those 40-year-olds. And, so I took that sort of hard, but okay, I won't do that anymore. But I still continue to run, to train, coach my kids' soccer teams up through high school, and, played with them, because you can't really not. And eventually, I got, it was getting harder and harder to run. Eventually, women were passing me on my training runs, which was, a blow to my ego, if nothing else. But it also pointed out that I was slowing down way too fast for. And so eventually, they decided, well, I was in heart failure, and there's no cure for that except a new heart. So at the age of 70, I started trying to get a new heart. And by the time I was, 73, 72, 73, I can't remember. But in 2000, I had a heart transplant. So, all these things, from the first go-around, or the first time I shook my head, any of those arrhythmias could have been something that caused my heart to stop beating. I mean, when I went to the hospital, finally, my heart rate was about 220, and my blood pressure was approximately 0. Yet I walked into the ER carrying my 1-year-old son on my shoulder. The nurse asked what's wrong with him, and I just gave her my wrist. I don't know what happened to my son, but he disappeared. And instead, I got the paddles on the chest and clear, and that was in the old days before they gave you a sedative to knock you out. And I almost punched the doctor because he hit me pretty hard. So I'm no stranger to having a diagnosis that you might die tomorrow, and I basically decided a long time ago that I was going to live through it and keep going. So in parallel with that, about 15 or 20 years ago, I started having these strange red patches on my skin, which would disappear after a couple days, and they were not, they didn't itch, they didn't bother me, they just there were red spots. And so I asked the dermatologist once, and not because I was particularly worried about it, just because I happened to be in the office, and he said, he didn't know what it was either. Eventually, after the transplant, this is how it gets related, the immunosuppressant drug I'm taking lets skin cancers like basal cell carcinomas and squamous cell carcinomas grow more easily. So I got to see dermatologists much more frequently. And so in addition to those spots, these other strange red spots, eventually they decided we'll biopsy it, and decided I had MF. They referred me to Dr. Geskin in Columbia. She did some tests and decided I had Sézari's. So that's where I am now. That was, I guess I was diagnosed with that in 2022, about 2 years after my transplant. It took about 2 years of frequent visits to the dermatologist to get that straightened out. It's not bad. It doesn't itch. The worst thing that happened to me was I was on Moga for a while. I developed an allergy to it, and the allergy to the Moga was much worse than any of the itching and the scratching from the Sézari's, order of the magnitude. I mean, that was pretty bad. But there's an easy cure for that. You just stop taking the Moga. And so we did that, and I'm now taking Vexarotene, which kind of seems to manage things a little better. It's not perfect. I got all red blotches on my back. But so how do I deal with all that? Well, I decided a long time ago that, I wasn't going to let these Santa things stop me from doing what I wanted to do. So I keep doing them. I go fishing. I take a trip to Bahamas for bone fishing, and I go to Alaska fly fishing, going again this summer. I spend more time than I should driving up to the Delaware up north to go catch some trout. And, basically nothing has changed except that I have to spend an inordinate amount of time greasing various spots on my body. But, coping with it, basically living my life and just trying to ignore that it exists, except that I am religious about, spreading creams when I need to, greasing my body. I just call it Axle grease. All sorts of brands out there. They'll sell you very expensive Axle grease. And I looked at the jars, and most of them, the ones that are they increase the fraction of petroleum jelly in them. Is what they do. So I'm sticky.
Oh.
But will it kill me? I don't know. I'll probably die of something else first. I'll probably, fall in a trout stream and get swept away or something. But we'll see.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Just keep on fishing, right? Whatever makes you happy is what I think the message is, right?
And I love that idea that it's not going to stop you from doing anything. And if a health problem does stop you, like the running, you can't do the running anymore, what you can sometimes do is think, okay, what do I get out of running? What does it give to me? And then find something else to fill that place. So if it's that sense of concentration and that zen, maybe you can find it a different way, something else that is safe for you to do. So thinking if there is anything that it sort of gets in the way of you doing, kind of saying, okay, why do I love doing that, and what else can fill that role? And by the same token, if there's something it makes you do, like greasing up. So if you say, okay, running, I used to get in this zen mode, I loved it. That's what I'm going to do with my creams now. When I'm putting them on, I'm just going to be meditating and focusing and relaxing and breathing. I have one patient with mycosis fungoides, and I recommended bleach baths. And he came back and he was doing really well. And I say, that wasn't the only treatment, but that was one of them. And I said, oh, are you still doing the bleach baths? And he said, absolutely. Everybody knows on Sunday from noon to 1 p.m., I'm in the bathroom. You're not allowed to bother me. Dad's doing his bleach bath. You all have to leave me alone. He's like, it's the 1 hour of peace I get every week. So I need you to make sure my family knows I have to do those forever.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, right? Take time for ourselves, because then that way we can navigate and give back as we need to. Who else wants to have something to share, something to say? Yay.
This is along the lines of gratitude. When we all get the disease, why me, why me? And I was getting over it. My sister lives in Detroit, and I'm here in Philly. I live in South Jersey. And she would talk to me weekly. And then in 22, I developed breast cancer. And I was falling apart, and she would do anything for me, anything. And so she sent me these beautiful notebooks and these beautiful pens, and I want you to write down gratitude and whatever you're grateful for that day. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not doing this. And anytime she suggests stuff, that is usually my response. She's the older sister, I'm the younger sister. You can't tell me what to do. But, the notebooks are still in the saran wrap that they came in, and the pens are still where they were. But it did work, because on my way to radiation, I had to do 4 weeks of radiation daily. I drove the same route to the Penn Cherry Hill office, and it was October, and there was this beautiful oak tree that I passed every day, and I called it my tree, and it was beautiful, and I took it in, and that's what I was grateful for every day, that I got to see this beautiful. It was reds and oranges, and I got to see them change every day, and I took it in. And I told her, I said, I'm not writing it down. But I look, and I still go to Penn Cherry Hill that way, and when I go that way, I look at the tree. It is now starting to bud, and it will be blooming soon, because I have many docs at that office. So I'm very grateful for my sister, and grateful for that tree, and grateful that I have all these things. And last night, in the middle of the night, the itch reared its head. And, I thought of everybody here, like, we all have it. It happens. I have my tub next to my bed. I turn the lights really low and slathered myself up in the middle of the night and got through the night. But I am grateful for everybody here and everything that's going on, and that I had these opportunities, that I'm alive, and I'm going to live my full life, and I can look at things. And every time now something happens, I think of my tree. So,
wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it speaks to, it doesn't have to be a grandiose thing, right? It can be the beautiful tree that you watch through the seasons. It can be fly fishing in Alaska, or it can be doing your art, or laughing, or cooking, or sharing time with your loved ones. Whatever that is for you, I think the key that we're hearing is make the time. It's worth it. You're worth it. And that then helps you and everyone else around you be able to live life fully, because why else are we here? I mean, we may all have a diagnosis of cutaneous lymphoma that we're grappling with, but there's a whole big old life out there for us to live, and there's a reason for each of us to be here, and it doesn't matter what that is and where we find ourselves, but each and every one of us is important and plays a role and makes a difference. And you just never know where the ripples are. I forget, Jenni, was that you and I talking about, you just never know whose lives you impact, and the ripples that go out and out and out from wherever you are, and everyone makes a difference. Everyone really makes a difference no matter where you sit. So thank you all so much for sharing.